All right, we will get started. Welcome to our webinar. Sorry, I'm just pulling up my notes. So my name is Matilda Reckford, and I work for the EHS program at the Center for Applied Linguistics, and I'm joined today by Maria.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Maria Mariani. I'm at Georgetown University, and I am the Director of Recruitment and the Program Manager there.
And Anna.
Hi, I'm Anna Gay. I am the Program Manager for the EHLS program at the Institute of International Education, and we handle our application and selection process.
Today is a Q&A, so we definitely want to hear from you and be able to unmute you at the end of our presentation so you can ask your questions live. But as we present, feel free to type questions in the Q&A box as well. So a little bit about today, we'll do a quick overview of the EHLS program, and then we'll open the floor to your questions. And I'll pass it on to Maria for a quick overview of the EHLS program.
Okay, so let's go to the introduction to EHLS. EHLS is a scholarship program with a focus on professional English communication skills and career skills. The program trains advanced speakers of English to be effective communicators and strong candidates for federal jobs. It's hosted by Georgetown in Washington, D.C. Every scholar admitted to the program receives a full scholarship funded by the federal government. The program is 8 months in length. The first 6 months are full-time on the Georgetown University downtown campus near Chinatown. The final 2 months are part-time, conducted online. Participants are native speakers of critical languages who have a strong interest in public service. EHLS scholars come from diverse cultural, educational, and professional backgrounds, but they are all united by an interest in and a commitment to public service. Let's look at a little background on the program. And excuse my crackling voice, I have a cold, and I know I sound weird, but my apologies. Why EHLS? EHLS was established because critical language skills are in high demand in the U.S. government. There are other government-sponsored programs to teach critical languages to native English speakers, but this is the only program designed to prepare individuals with native knowledge of critical languages for the federal workplace. A brief background on the organization and the history of EHLS. EHLS is a partnership among 4 organizations. The Defense Language and National Security Education Office, DELENCIO, provides funding. You might also hear NSEP, that is the sister name or the nephew name under DELENCIO. The Center for Applied Linguistics oversees instructions and coordinates language testing. That is where Matilda is. Georgetown University provides instruction for the academic portion of the program. That's where I am. And the Institute of International Education oversees the application process, and that is where Anna is. EHLS started in 2006, and 2014 will be our 19th year. I am so proud of that. I came in at the end of 2006, and I've seen the program grow and blossom and just get better and better every year. Okay, let's take a look at the scholarship benefits and terms. Scholarships for the EHLS program are awarded through the Defense Language and National Security Education Office, DELENCIO, or NSEP. Each scholarship provides full tuition and fees for the 8 months academic program, in addition to a living stipend. So the living stipend is $3,600 per month during the first 6 months, January to June. And then it gets reduced to $1,200 per month during the last 2 months because you are online and you can work. For scholars moving from outside the DC area, Silencio can reimburse relocation costs up to $1,000, but we ask that you keep all your receipts and present them. Other benefits include health insurance through Georgetown University, and that's for you personally. If you'd like to buy insurance for a family member, that would be out of pocket to you. A laptop computer on which you can complete EHLS assignments and that you can keep after the program ends once you successfully complete. A certificate from Georgetown University upon successful completion of the program that in itself opens many doors everywhere, but especially in DC, because after almost 20 years, everyone knows of our program. Scholars must agree to the following terms: full-time attendance and successful completion of the academic program. Okay, that's the entire academic program, the 8 months. Agreement not to work during the full-time portion of the academic program, that is the first 6 months, January to June. And acceptance of the service requirement after completing the academic program. So this is what we ask of you. Okay, I am going to now pass it over to Anna.
Thank you. So we'll go over the participant eligibility. First and foremost, you must be a U.S. citizen at the time of application. You must be a native speaker of one of these 27 languages, and you must have a professional level proficiency in that language. You must have advanced proficiency in English. Your proficiency both in English and your critical language will be formally tested. You must have a college degree that is at least a bachelor's degree equivalent in the United States. And you must be able to use the internet, word processing systems, and PowerPoint. You must commit to a full-time day program from January through June in Washington, D.C. at Georgetown, the downtown campus, as Maria mentioned. And you must be willing to work for the federal government for 1 year in a position with national security responsibilities. And it will be your responsibility to find that position. Moving now to some important dates to know. The application itself is currently available. Please see our website, ehlsprogram.org, for the link to that application. The deadline for this application and all the supporting documents is 5 p.m. July 6th, 2023. Once an application is submitted and considered complete, applicants will be invited to schedule an oral proficiency interview, or OPI, in English. OPIs will be administered through July 21st, 2023, but we highly recommend submitting your application and scheduling that OPI sooner, so that way you find a time that fits best with your schedule. EHLS staff will notify candidates of their status in September. Some candidates will be provisionally selected to move on to the skills testing. In late September to early October, provisionally selected candidates will complete language testing, specifically in their critical language, and a basic technology skills test. You will also complete an additional OPI in your critical language, as I just mentioned. I am just reading from notes, and I forget that I say that twice. Apologies. But yes, sometime in September, October, you will be formally tested on your critical language. And then the EHLS staff will notify those selected of their final status in early November. And then the program itself starts on January 8th in 2024.
Just sharing that last date of the program begins. Yes, thank you. So that is it for our quick overview. I will now stop sharing and hopefully welcome you to raise your hand and ask us questions. I believe some of you were here with us yesterday with me and Anna to ask us questions. So very happy to address these in more detail. I know we had a question yesterday on the tests and whether they are via Zoom. So I can just provide more detail from yesterday. So the English OPI that everyone must pass is a phone conversation, and there's a virtual proctoring, just a security to see if your testing environment is secure. If you're then invited to skills testing, it is a critical, your critical OPI will have the same format as the English OPI, and then your reading, writing tests will be through LTI. Maria, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're proctored through them as well, but they can be taken virtually.
Are you talking about reading, writing?
Yes.
Okay, they are not through LTI.
They're by Cal, by us.
Yes, by Cal. And I think we haven't decided whether or not they were going to be in person or not. That's what I heard.
Yeah, okay.
So stay tuned, everybody. We'll let you know for sure.
Yeah. And the technology skills test is also administered by Cal virtually. Let's see if there's a question in the Q&A.
It's about, let's say you don't find a job, then what? I can kind of speak to this a little bit. Per the service agreement, it's not, you need to find a job the second the EHLS program is over. We do, however, so there is a length of time, maybe Maria, you can remind me, it's maybe a year, 2 years, something like that from the end of the program. But I might be confusing it for another program that Delencio administers. So if you could provide that length of time, that would be great. But it's very unlikely that you will not find a job within that time frame. It's a pretty ample time frame, but also the program itself provides you with a lot of networking opportunities, hiring authorities, which are a boon when looking for a federal job. So I would not worry too much about that if it's a little slow going, especially if you are familiar with USA Jobs. It can take a while, especially with security clearances and things like that. But making sure if you are selected and you do complete the program, being very communicative with what we call the NCEP service team. So there'll be another group of people that you will meet after completion of the program, making sure you're really communicative with them and putting in that good faith effort to find a position. But I think Maria can provide a little bit more, where people go and how long it typically takes people to find a job, seeing as she's got all the knowledge.
I don't know if I have all the knowledge, but you have 3 years after graduation to find this job. And by the time June comes around, you will have met a lot of people in your career skills class. And then also at your symposium, when you do the big presentation, a lot of people get multiple job offers at that time. But then you have 2 more months to work with your career skills instructor to continue to look for jobs. And then you're going to get special jobs that come just to you because you are an NCEP scholar through the NCEP portal. And not many people see that. So you're at a better advantage. Also, you have Schedule A, which means that if somebody wants you, they can process your application faster. Now, this doesn't mean that they can zip through your security check, your background check. That will take, time. But if you don't find a job in 3 years upon graduation, you could ask our funder for an extension. I haven't seen that, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. But if you are doing your due diligence, you will find a job. If you're just sitting back and not looking for jobs, and you're not documenting the jobs that you have applied to, you may have to pay back the scholarship. I just have to throw that out there.
And that is in the terms of, all of the paperwork we do send those who are selected for the program. It is that all of that information is in there. From an IIE perspective, I don't know of anyone who's had to pay back the award. Because it is 3 years, as Maria says, and we do give you all the tools and more to find that great position. There is another question about if scholars will be sent overseas and how safety taken into account. It is a domestic program. You will not be sent overseas at any point during this program. If you are looking at positions maybe within the State Department, that is a question for your new employer. I will say, though, about 5% of all federal jobs do take place overseas. So if that's what you want to do, you're welcome to apply and go through the Foreign Service Officer test and do all of the things that are required for that. But you do not need to worry about overseas portion of the EHLS program, as it is purely domestic. Although sometimes DC does seem like another world. I don't know about you, but
although also, you get to choose the job. We don't have a job for you. So if you want a job that's going to take you overseas, why, by all means, apply for the job that's going to take you overseas, as long as it meets the requirements, which is it has to be a national security position. And even if it's with the contractor has to be 80% DOD. So the answer to your question really is, if you want to go overseas, then look for a job that meets all our requirements that's overseas. But this is your job search. You find the job. We introduce you to people. You decide where you want to apply.
We have a question, and we discussed this just earlier, Maria, so I feel like you have a good answer for that on arranging time during the 6-month period during which you can't work with your employer directly to not work during that time.
Okay, so if you're with the federal government, then you'd have to separate. And you'd have to send a letter saying that you have separated, and you send that to IIE. But if you are working for a contractor or anybody but the federal government, I would encourage you, if you can, to take a leave of absence, because even if you are given a job, or say you have a job offer, you may have to wait a year for your security clearance. So if you can go back to your job while you're waiting for the clearance, that would be fabulous. So I highly encourage taking a leave if they will allow that.
And Maria, would you say that would go along with people who maybe work in public institutions as well? Kind of go back to their employer and see what those protocols might be? That's another question that just popped up, but on the same line. So
yeah, just if look, you need a backup plan, okay? Because you're not going to just finish the program and start the job the next day. So you're going to need a backup plan. So if they allow you to do some kind of leave of absence, definitely take it.
Yeah, it would be great to have those conversations with the current employer, and if they can offer that flexibility, then yes, definitely take advantage.
But I wouldn't have that conversation until you get into the program, Yeah. Like don't give them a heads up that you may be leaving,
Yeah. As someone on the wait list, can you or should you apply again?
On the wait list, well,
if you're waitlisted.
Okay, if you're waitlisted and you don't get in, yeah. So absolutely. And actually, we've had people that were waitlisted and then the next year they got in, or maybe they even waited a couple of years and reapplied. And, normally we say, if you didn't get in, maybe write new essays. But if you're on a wait list, maybe, I don't know. I mean, it would be up to you what to do with those essays.
Yeah, maybe just polish them just a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if the applicant cannot accept the scholarship, can they defer their application for the subsequent year?
No.
No, you if you decline the scholarship, you'll have to apply again and see if you get in the subsequent year or 2 years later.
And remember, the admissions committee might be different, or it might be a different set of people looking at your application. And they might rate your application in a different way. I don't know. It's all supposed to be, not subjective, but you know how it is.
And also comparing, every applicant pool is going to be different. So if
True. Absolutely. Yeah. Good point.
Of course, just as a transparency piece from IIE, we do not, every application cycle is blind. So we do not take into account if you have applied before and not gotten in, if you applied before and got in and the timing wasn't right, that none of that is taken into account, or your reviewers don't even know actually. So that's why it's extra important to make sure that if you do apply or apply multiple times, making sure that each application is the best that you can do at the time and making sure it's nice and polished and clean. But yeah, every applicant pool is going to be different. So if you are waitlisted, placed as an alternate, do the exact same application again, and it might be a stronger applicant pool, you could be waitlisted again. The possibilities and the mixing and matching of where people end up is completely dependent on the strength of your application. So try not to worry about it too much and do the best that you can on your application and take your time and really go for it. But if you do apply 6 times in a row, that's not going to hinder you at all.
Yeah, and
Yes.
the process of reapplying, there's some things that you might have to redo again. So you're going to request your references again. But if you're happy, for instance, with your English or proficiency interview, you may resubmit that. So that might make the process just a little quicker for you. Although if you want to take it again and see if you score higher, we definitely recommend doing that. And that would be the same for your critical language OPI. If you had gone to being provisionally selected and had gone to skills testing, you can resubmit that score as well. But the rest of the application is kind of how you have to rewrite the essay and re-ask your references.
And those scores do expire. They don't last forever.
Correct.
What is the time frame on those scores? I don't actually.
At least a year. At least a year.
Yeah, I think 2 years.
Might be 2 years. Yeah.
I have a question. If I didn't work or study in the U.S., who can write my reference on the application?
Anybody that has an email. You give us the person's email and we say, hey, so and so is applying to the EHLS program and has asked for you to be write a reference letter. And they check this. They have, I guess, I haven't seen it lately. So maybe Anna, you could talk about what it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the application itself, when you go in, you can submit up to 2 references. The max is 2 this year. You at least need to have 1 professional or academic reference, that being very key. Your friends and family love you very much, can speak to your character. Lovely. Not correct for a reference letter. If you do get in and have to move away from home, then maybe have them write you a letter for how much they love you. But it's professional and academic. If they are overseas, that is fine. Like Maria said, they just need a valid email address. And what will happen is that you fill in their information in the application, and then the application system will actually send them an email, and they have to fill out a short little form, basically saying, how do you know this applicant? How long have you known this applicant? In what capacity? Were you a coworker? Were they a student? That kind of thing. And then they can submit the letter themselves. If for any reason, a person that I would recommend, and Maria recommends this every time, reach out to them first, making sure they're okay. If you request a reference from them, but if in any case that they are not able to, or something gets lost, you reach out to me it's an application system question, and we can get you set up with either sending out a new one if someone declined, or if the recommender didn't receive that email, we can resend it. But it is 2 this year, professional academic, and it can be anybody. But
And
the letter has to be in English.
It has to be in English because we have to be, the committee needs to be able to read it. Also, keep in mind, I don't know where you're from, what part of the world you're from, but certain parts of the world, your referee might not want to send an electronic recommendation letter on your behalf, might not want to do anything as far as the program, and you might not want to reach out to somebody in a country where people are not comfortable with this kind of stuff. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, using your best judgment for who you think can speak best to your abilities in an academic or professional setting. And I do see a question came in about maybe not feeling comfortable, but asking their current supervisor and asking a coworker who they collaborate with. Perfect. They might even know you better than your supervisor. We don't know your personal relationship, but I think that is fine. And it's a question I think gets asked a lot. You know, we don't necessarily want to ask our direct supervisors, hey, can I take a 6-month leave of absence and maybe not come back at all because I get a really cool job? That's perfectly fine. Yeah, just making sure that they, you know, speak to your skills and your collaboration skills and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and sometimes we recommend if it's just really hard to find academic or professional, you can consider volunteering coworkers or supervisors. Those types of positions can be places where you really showcase the skills and the interest in the federal government that you want to showcase in your application.
Hopefully all of you have started your application, because the sooner you get your application in, then what happens, Anna? Tell them what happens once everything is in order. Then what's the next step for them?
Yeah, so we are about the 2-month mark out from the application deadline. So that does mean that you do still have until the 21st to schedule and complete your English language OPI. It's not that much time. It's like two weeks or so between the 2 deadlines. So making sure that you do submit on time so you can get that OPI in within that 2-week period. Afterwards, you will receive, it's a form letter saying your application is complete. And then our selection committee will take place at the end of August to kind of put into perspective that there will be a length of time while your application is being reviewed, and rather thoroughly. And then after that, so like I said before, September, early October, if you are provisionally selected, that's when the next round of testing will happen. And we'll give you dates on when those need to be completed as well. And those emails will be coming from Cal, just so you know who to be looking out for emails from. And then after that, so like I said, in about early November, ideally, we will have our selected scholars and offer them their positions. But up until that time, and even maybe a little bit after, we do review your applications for completeness. So if you have submitted your application already, great. We will be reaching out as I go through them to make sure they are complete. I am not reading them. I want to make that very clear. For transparency reasons, I am just making sure that all your documents are uploaded, all the pieces are there, and you are in fact eligible for the program. So you may receive an email from me saying, hey, your transcript looks a little wonky. Do you mind uploading a new one, or something along those lines, but nothing too bad. Mainly it is transcript evaluations, things like that, making sure those are all there and legible, readable. Yeah, and that's pretty much the timeline from July 6th up until November. And even then, if you are waitlisted, we sometimes go to alternates.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe down 2 or 3.
Yeah, this year I believe it was 3 or 4, actually. Three, I believe.
3, yeah.
Yeah, so we do sometimes end up going to alternates. So try not to make too many humongous life changes between early November, and if you are placed as an alternate, there is still a chance that you can get into the program. But if not, like we mentioned earlier, if it doesn't work out, you can definitely apply next year and probably have a pretty strong foundation.
So Anna, just to clarify, so once someone submits the application and you go through and you see that all the documents are in order, they've gotten everything in, do they get an email from you saying your application is submitted and is complete, and now you can schedule an OPI? And
that's exactly it.
And do you give them a link to schedule the OPI?
Yes. Okay. So there is an email that will come from IIE. We'll say you're exactly that. Your application has been reviewed for completeness. It is now complete. You may now move on to schedule your OPI. And within that email is the link. There's also documentation attached on how to schedule that OPI. There's also a recording of Matilda doing a step-by-step process on how to schedule that as well. So it can be kind of confusing if you've never done that before. So we definitely set every applicant up who reaches that stage for success. And if there are any questions, Cal is always ready to help schedule that.
Yeah, and all these different steps are different emails, like Anna said. And so it's really important throughout the whole process. After you click submit, always check your email very regularly and your junk email. And, make sure you remember if you have multiple mailboxes or inboxes, which email address you use to apply, that will reach out to you. Make sure you check that address. And we don't want anything to get lost.
And also, once you've scheduled your English OPI, make sure you mark your calendar and make sure you have reminders, because if you miss that OPI, it may be a deal breaker. I know that in past years, you missed the OPI, you're done.
Yeah. You may not be able to reschedule. They may not have availability for you to.
And actually, it might be a policy that you missed the OPI. I know that in past years, if you miss the OPI, you're done.
A missed OPI may not be rescheduled. That's correct. Yeah.
Which means your application will not go forward.
Yeah, and logging in for that testing, like I said, it's a phone conversation, but it's remotely proctored. So Language Testing International, that schedules these tests, communicates, gives very detailed instructions. And part of those instructions is that you have to log in early to make sure that your test is secure before you start the actual test, the actual conversation. So everything is very detailed in their email, but make sure you read them and you do everything that they say. I will share some.
We're not trying to scare you. We just want to make sure that you get everything done the right way.
I will share some upcoming dates that you can also find on our website. We're so happy you're here in a Q&A session to ask questions and the opportunity for others to ask questions. And that's a really good way to learn some more details from us, anything that we can provide for you to feel more prepared and more excited about the program. Our upcoming sessions will have special guests, we'll have alumni, so they can also speak to a lot of their experience during the program and the job search and all of that. So that's definitely a good insight, and we definitely encourage you to join these upcoming Q&A sessions with special guests. We also have 2 information webinars, a general information and a what to expect during and after HLS. They provide a lot of information and we really recommend, the more you know about the program, the better your application will be. And on May 30th, you're invited. You're welcome to come. This is a webinar that is scheduled with a Ethiopian professional network, and we will be presenting a little bit about the program and a little bit about career skills of advancement for federal job seeking, and you're welcome to attend that presentation as well. I will also share our social media. The more you know about our in-person events and any special announcements, any more of these Q&As and webinars that we'll have. You can learn about those in our newsletter and all of these social media platforms. And at any time, if you have any questions, please email us. You can email Maria Mariani for any questions about Georgetown, about the curriculum, the schedule, anything about Georgetown facilities. You can email me for any questions on your proficiency interview scheduling and anything about language testing, me, Matilda. And you can email Anna Gay for any questions on the online application system.
And remember, a lot, we are, especially Matilda and I, we are recruiting, so we're not in the office a lot. So it's best to email us. And I can speak for myself. I will get back to you very quickly. I also put in the chat box that I'm going to be at the Falls Church Library on May 16th at noon. And so it's on Knowles Avenue. You could look it up, but you register on our website. So if you would like to come and meet me or have additional questions, or you have friends that might want to, meet in person, please send them to Woodrow Wilson Library in Falls Church.
Yeah, I think in the chat, you might have just sent it to hosts and panelists, but
Oh, shoot. Okay. Let me sorry about that. Can you copy and paste it, Matilda?
I'm trying. It's not.
Oh.
Why? I guess I can just.
Yeah, it looks like I can't get to anybody else for some reason. But anyway, you guys, it's on our website. It's Woodrow Wilson Library in Falls Church, May 16th, and it's from noon to 1:30. And yeah, it won't let me get to anybody, but I cannot chat with anyone but the panelists and hosts for some reason.
Okay, I think I was able to send it to everyone.
Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, I see it.
But yes, we will send you a recording of this webinar where you can pause at any time to review any of the information that we've shared. So it'll be in our YouTube channel, and you can check out our other recordings there too. With that, I think that was the end of my slides. I'll stop sharing again. Yes, if you have any questions, we still have a few minutes, but if not, email us, join our other Q&A sessions, yeah, we will be happy to see you hopefully again in person or online to answer anything else, and good luck with your application. And we're here to support you, and we really want to support you and make you have a successful application. Great. Well, let's enjoy the rest of our days, of our Thursdays, and yes, please reach out if you have any more questions, and thank you very much. Bye everyone.